If I have a database of my sales employees in my company and I want to look up their information, all I need to do is to write a VLOOKUP formula like this, and I will get my answer. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. VLOOKUP is a must-know formula for every serious spreadsheet user. It's an incredibly useful function that will allow you to look up information based on certain parameters. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can master VLOOKUP in just a few minutes. In this example, I have a database with 3 columns: my sales reps, their regions, and their tenure. The rows represent the information for each employee. At the top, I want to have the ability to quickly look up information for a few selected employees without scrolling through the entire table. For these employees, I want to pull up their region and tenure. By the way, if you want to follow along, I have a link in the description below for you to download this exercise file to follow along. To get started, I'm going to go into the cell here and type in equals VL. The VLOOKUP formula will pop up automatically, so you can hit tab to not type in the whole formula. Google Sheet has a little bit of a reference here. Basically, when you use a VLOOKUP function, there are 4 things that you need to put in. The first thing, the search key, is basically the information that you already know, right? What is the value that you already know? It is the name of the employees in cell B3 here. So I'm going to select that. You can click on it, hit comma. The second parameter, the range, is basically the database that you have at the bottom. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. You can use your mouse and select this area like this, or another way to do this in a fancier way is to use keyboard shortcuts. So you can use your arrow keys to move around and then start with the first cell, the most upper left cell of the database, and then hit Command Shift right to select all the columns across, and then Command Shift down to select all the rows at the bottom. Now, with the entire database selected, one very important thing is to hit F4, which would apply absolute references. You will see a lot of $ that pop up here. If you're not familiar with it, absolute references basically allow you to lock in those cells so that when you copy the formula to other cells, the references are not going to change. If that is not obvious, you'll see why soon. So hit comma. The third parameter, index, is basically telling Google Sheets which column of information you want to pull. The way this is determined is based on the database that you've selected here. The first column is column B. Sales rep is going to be column 1 in this case. And then the second column, number 2, is going to be region, and 3 is going to be tenure. Right? So you can type in 2 referencing the second column, region here, and then hit comma. The fourth and last parameter, for 99% of the time, you're going to put in false. What that means is you want the exact name of Alice Cole being referenced as you look up the information. Now, you can technically put in true, which would do an approximate match, but there really is no reason to do so. So most of the time, you're just going to put in false. Enter to confirm, and you'll see that Alice Cole now is showing Asia here. You can apply the formula down by hitting Command C and then Shift down arrow and then Command V to apply the formula down all across. And then you see that, say, for Dana, if you look at the data, she is indeed in the Latin American region, and Cecilia is also in the Latin America region. Now, we can do the same thing for tenure. A straightforward way to do so is to copy the formula here, paste it in the tenure cell, but change the index to 3 because now you want to be pulling information from the third column. So I'm going to do 3, enter. And then Google Sheets would also have this autofill function that pops up, and you can click this button to autofill the rest of the formula, or you can do Command Enter. And we're basically done here. If you change the name of the sales rep, you'll see that the region and the tenure information would update automatically. Now, I have one more tip for more advanced users. If you look at what we have done so far, you'll see that we'll have to write the formula a couple of times, copy and paste a bunch of different ways. There's a way to write only one formula that can be applied to all the cells so that you'll make sure that you can write a formula that can be systematically applied. And if there's an error, you know exactly that you only have to fix it once. And it is particularly useful if you're dealing with larger data sets when you have to manage different columns as well. So let me roll back and delete these cells and see how we can do this together. Now, if you copy the cell directly to the right, you will see that there's a problem, right? It's going to show NA. The reason is if you click into it, you will see that it's looking up the cell to the left of it, North America, instead of the sales rep's name. And that is because when you copy the formula to the right, the B3 reference now becomes the C3 reference. So the important thing is to think about, okay, what absolute reference should I apply here? Should it be in the column or should it be in the row? In this case, what are we trying to fix? The things we were trying to lock in on is the column, because we don't want the reference B to become C, D, etc. So what we want to do is to come back to the formula here and put a $sign in front of the B. That will lock the B column whenever you apply the formula to the rest of the cells that you want to apply to. The second thing you want to change is this absolute value of 2 here. That is not going to change if you copy and paste to another cell. So another trick that you can do is I have numbered the columns index in this row. So instead of typing in the absolute reference value, then you can actually just point to the cell here. And here we also want to make sure that we lock in to only reference row 7 so that it won't get shifted down to row 8, row 9 as your index number. So I'm going to put a $sign in front of 7, hit enter. And now if you apply this formula all across, one way to do it is to select the region that you want to apply to, hit Command R, that would apply the formula to the right, and then Command D to apply the formula all the way down. And you can see that you only have to write the formula once and the entire area will be populated accordingly. And you can double click into it to see what is really going on. So we've looked at this before. Let's look at, say, this one, right? So it's looking up Frankie in column B4, not C4. B4 because we've locked in column B. And it's also looking up D7, which is the third column here as its index. So that's it for VLOOKUP. While I did this in Google Sheets, it's basically the same thing in Microsoft Excel. In a future video, I'm going to do more advanced lookup functions like using index match to look up value based on 2 parameters. And there are a bunch of other cool Google Sheet query functions that we can explore. So if you're interested, subscribe and stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.